here in person and to all the Zoomies. I guess they see me somewhere. Welcome to the Granite Peak Unitarian Universalist Congregation. I'm Lydia Garrett, your worship associate for this morning, and she, her. And the theme of this morning's service is Soul Matters. As part of the service this morning, we will also recognize new members that have recently signed. Today, with the ringing of the peace bowl, we affirm our collective and fervent hopes for peace in this world and here at home too. We acknowledge that these lands that we love are the unceded ancestral and historical lands of the Yavapai people.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Michelle LaGrave, she, her, and I am the minister of this wonderful, amazing congregation. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, wherever you find yourself on your life's journey, whether you've walked in or rolled in or zoomed in, whichever your pronouns, whomever you love, you are welcome here. You belong here. Before we continue with our worship service, I have an announcement about announcements. We are experimenting a bit with our procedures and noticing that announcements are taking up quite a bit of time at the beginning of the worship service, and wanting to feel more like we can launch into worship with excitement and enthusiasm and all sorts of things. So we're going to try to do the announcements on slides at the end of the worship service during the exit music. So that means y'all have to get your, I was in Texas for 5 years. That's where the y'all slipped out from. That means y'all have to get your announcements in by Thursday night so that Kelly can make the slides We may also do some experimenting with QR codes and other things where you can get the announcements anytime by just taking a picture with your phone and pushing on the link. So we ask for your patience and understanding while we try to switch over. And yes, it's an experiment and we don't have the final answers yet. So let us know what you think as we go. I also want to acknowledge that, yes, we are continuing to work on the sound. They've done some work and gotten rid of the buzz from the speakers. Yeah. Although we still have a lot of echoey-ness. So we're working on baffles for the back wall, probably, is what's going to happen. And until then, we are going to try to enunciate and not speak too fast and do a lot of slides and things like that. And again, ask for your patience. Let us worship.
We begin our service in a Unitarian Universalist way by lighting the chalice. Our chalice lighter this morning is Diane Harper. Today, we light this chalice with these words that I have chosen from a poem, A Symphony of Life by Douglas Taylor. Life, as its highest and its sweetest, is sharing. Life is a sharing of our melodies, of our love and interest, of our yearning and questions. We gather this morning as individuals creating harmony in community together. So we light this chalice, a symbol of our heritage, in gratitude for this beloved community.
It is not by chance that you arrived here today. You have been looking for something larger than yourself. Inside of you, there is a yearning, a calling, a hope for more, a desire for a place of belonging and caring. Through your struggles, someone nurtured you into being, instilling a belief in a shared purpose, a common yet precious resource that belongs to all of us when we share. And so you began seeking a beloved community, a people that does not put fences around love, a community that holds its arms open to possibilities of love, a heart home to nourish your soul and share your gifts. Welcome home. Welcome to worship. Let us rise either in body or spirit and sing our opening hymn, number 86, Blessed Spirit of My Life.
This is fine.
This has got an arrow.
This morning, we get to welcome some new members. I'd like to invite the new members to come up and join me right here in front of our chalice. And I didn't prepare you for this ahead of time, but I'd like to pass the microphone so that you can each share your name with the congregation so everyone can match your name with your face and also hear your correct pronunciation.
My name is Beth Mosier. It's French. It could be Mosier.
Robert Chagag.
Bob Olesino, that's Italian.
Jake Peterman.
Nancy LaGrave.
I don't count.
And for those of you who might not know, that is Rick Denny, who is the president of the congregation and is here to welcome everyone officially. So I'd like to begin with a reading from Starhawk. We are all longing to go home to some place we have never been, a place half remembered and half envisioned, we can only catch glimpses of from time to time. Community. Somewhere there are a people to whom we can speak with passion, without having the words catch in our throats. Somewhere a circle of hands will open to receive us. Eyes will light up as we enter. Voices will celebrate with us whenever we come into our own power. Community means strength that joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done. Arms to hold us when we falter, a circle of healing, a circle of friends, somewhere where we can be free. May this congregation, this beloved community, be such a place for you. And now I have a charge to all of you who are joining the congregation. As we prepare to formally welcome you into the membership of Granite Peak Unitarian Universalist Congregation here in Prescott, Arizona, and the wider world of Unitarian Universalism, we charge you with the following: that you will share your passion and your strength with us, showing up as your whole and wholly imperfect selves, that you will bring with you your need to care and be cared for, to heal and to be healed, and to live with authenticity and integrity. That you will bring with you your desire to live a fulfilled and purpose-filled life. That you will offer your creativity and friendship as we offer ours, and that you will share with us your gifts of time and talent and treasure as we share ours.
You have heard our promise. Now it is up to the new members to give your affirmation, and it should be on the film, right? There we go. I invite you to to read the text. That's your affirmation to join us. Now, on behalf of the membership committee, I ask the entire congregation to give our affirmation to their promise. It should also be on, there we go, congregational welcome. So, we welcome you to the community of Unitarian Universalism and into membership in this congregation. We promise to receive you in love as individuals. Knowing this will be how our community is strengthened. And the membership, or afraid or grieving, to rejoice with you during times of celebration, to help you during times of struggle, and to encourage you as you grow in mind and spirit. On behalf of the membership committee, a gift for you.
For those of you who might not be familiar, we also offer the right hand of fellowship, which is a very, very old tradition, as old as Unitarianism itself, which is simply a fancy name for a handshake.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't sure what you meant by that.
That's the handshake. Now let us join together for the first time with our very new members in saying the words to our congregational covenant. Love is the doctrine of this congregation, the quest for truth its sacrament, and service its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community. Thus do we covenant together. Welcome officially. We are so glad that you are all here.
We're fortunate indeed to have new members join us on a regular basis. So, let us go to the offering. As we prepare to receive the offering this morning, let us embrace the feeling of connection and community that we have when we gather here each week. Let us remember that this congregation and its programs are supported by your generosity. We also give back to the greater community through the Seeds of Support program. This month's recipient, I didn't put it in there, it's Christmas, the Christmas gifting program that we have started some time ago. So the information is on the back of your program. So. Let us take the offering. We acknowledge the generosity of spirit expressed through these offerings. What is given in love, received with gratitude. So it be.
I invite you into a time of meditation. Please find a comfortable place in your seats. Perhaps you can connect with the floor in some way. Allow yourself to feel grounded, more connected to the earth, which sustains us, grounds us, and sustains us. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable. Take some slow, deep breaths and allow your body to settle into stillness. Imagine yourself as a tiny seed that has just cracked open in the desert. Feel the harsh sun beating down on your tender shoot. The ground beneath you is hard, unforgiving. But notice, there is shade where you are. A mature creosote bush stands nearby, her branches reaching over you. Feel the blessed coolness of her shadow. In this shelter, you can grow without burning. Your first leaves unfurl in safety. The older plant asks nothing in return for this gift. She simply offers what she has, protection. Through her roots, she shares precious water, nutrients gathered over decades of desert survival. You drink deeply of this generosity. Feel yourself growing stronger in her care. Seasons pass in your imagination. You grow taller, your own roots deepening. Then one day you notice another seed sprouting nearby, vulnerable and small as you once were. Now you understand. You extend your own branches, offering shade to this new life. The compassion you received, you now provide. This is how the desert blooms, not through competition, but through quiet care, one generation sheltering the next. Ancient wisdom passed through root and branch. Take a deep breath and slowly return to this room. If you can, feel your feet on the ground, your back against the chair. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Remember that you too have both received shelter and can offer it. Part of the endless cycle of desert tenderness.
Beloved community is at the heart of Granite Peak UU congregation. As we experience this time of meditation and music, we take a few moments to silently acknowledge the joys and concerns in our hearts and minds. If there is an event that moves you to joy or concern, hope or gratitude, grief or remembrance, you're invited to come forward and drop a pebble in either one of our two bowls up here. So this is into the dish of our communal water as an affirmation of our connection to one another. May our joys and concerns surrounded by the healing communal water of our beloved community be acknowledged here today.
This morning, we'll be exploring the Soul Matters theme of cultivating compassion. Soul Matters is a program that many UU congregations across the country subscribe to that supports us in exploring monthly themes. This year, we at Granite Peak are trying out the worship program, but there are also resources for religious education and small group ministries for those congregations that would like to expand their monthly themes to other aspects of congregational life. This morning's theme of cultivating compassion, which seemed pretty straightforward in the beginning, took me in some surprising directions. So, are you ready to begin? All right. What do Star Trek, the dictionary, a Yalie named Paul Bloom, neurodivergence, and an old Unitarian named William Ellery Channing all have to do with compassion? Let's start weaving these very varied strands together and find out. First, the dictionary, or at least some common definitions so we can all begin on the same page. Pity, a feeling of sorrow for someone else who you can see or witness in some way is in distress. It often takes a hierarchical stance of the person who is witnessing the suffering, having a feeling of being above the other person. There is a sense or a nuance of pity being condescending, something that people don't want to be recipients of. Sympathy, a feeling of or a sense of understanding what the other person is going through, of being able to see that they are in sorrow or distress or in pain in some way. Empathy, the ability to actually feel what the other person is feeling. I see you feeling scared, and I also feel scared for you. Compassion has something to do with the other three, pity, sympathy, and empathy, but with the addition of action. And let's leave it there for a moment. And I want to note that there is a hierarchy to these, to pity, sympathy, empathy, and compassion. Pity tends to be something people really don't want. That's bad. Ugh. Sympathy, meh. Empathy seems to have a sense of being good, the best of all three options. Compassion isn't always put into that hierarchy, but it is clear that people seem to be in agreement that compassion has a component of action, which is critical to making it different from the other three. So I'm going to begin with a working assumption that we have all had experiences of pain, whether the pain has been physical, emotional, psychological, or spiritual. And that is a foundation that we can all relate to as we explore some of these concepts together, especially empathy. I really want to talk a lot about empathy in greater depth, because this is where some surprises came in, at least for me. We'll see if you're surprised too or not. I don't know. So that Yalie named Paul Bloom is actually a professor at of psychology at Yale University, and he's authored a book called Against Empathy. Anybody surprised by the title? I sure was. Who's against empathy? That seems to be what people want or expect or hope for. So in a Vox article, Paul Bloom said in an interview, "By empathy, I mean feeling the feelings of other people. So if you're in pain and I feel your pain, I am feeling empathy towards you. If you're being anxious, I pick up your anxiety. If you're sad, I pick up your sadness. I'm being empathetic." And that's different from compassion. Compassion means I give your concern weight. I value it. I care about it. But I don't necessarily pick up your feelings. He goes on to say, a lot of people think this is merely a verbal distinction, that it doesn't matter that much. But actually, there's a lot of evidence in my book against empathy, that empathy and compassion activate different parts of the brain. But more importantly, they have different consequences. If I have empathy towards you, it will be painful if you're suffering. It will be exhausting. It will lead me to avoid you and avoid helping. But if I feel compassion for you, I'll be invigorated, I'll be happy, and I'll try to make your life better. In other words, what he's saying, Paul Bloom, the Yale psychologist, is that I need to understand what you're feeling without actually feeling what you feel in order to act in a compassionate way, in order to not shut down, in order to not be overwhelmed. I think this is pretty relevant right now because a lot of us are feeling an awful lot of empathy for what's going on in different parts of this country and are feeling overwhelmed by it. His basic point is to rely on reason, not empathy, to create a better world. That empathy is too full of bias, that we are more empathetic toward people who are like us, that we are more empathetic toward people who are able to be articulate about their feelings. And what he calls this idea of his about using reason instead of empathy is rational compassion. On Star Trek, The Next Generation, there is a character named Deanna Troi. Do we have any Trekkies in here? I knew we had to have some. All right. Deanna Troi is half human and half Betazoid from the planet Beta Z, where the people are all empaths. And Deanna Troi is an empath. Often, this is really helpful when she is on the bridge with Captain Picard and the other commanders, and she can share some insight into whatever alien life form they are newly encountering for the first time. However, there is a drawback, which is that when it's a crisis, she can get easily overwhelmed and then unable to help. I can kind of relate to this in a way. This past year, some of you might know, less than a year, I've had 2 total knee replacements. I've been thinking about this concept of empathy in relation to what I went through in the last several months and how much pain I had been in and how many people I had treating me, from the surgeon to the nurses and the nurse practitioners and the physical therapist, and how if they had all been empathetic, they might have been crushed by my feelings of pain and actually unable to help me very well. And that probably what I wanted through this whole experience, and I think I got, was something more like rational compassion. They were able to differentiate to a certain degree, so they weren't actually feeling my pain. Who wants the surgeon to be in pain during your surgery? Not me. That's for sure. So while I can't, I've been thinking about all these things a lot, and while I can't say I'm actually against empathy, that feels like going a little too far to me. Maybe a little less empathy wouldn't be so bad in a lot of situations. What would that look like? What would less empathy look like? More reason, more logic. So I turned to our ancestors in this season of All Souls and Dias de los Muertos to think about this. You may be familiar that Unitarian Universalism has a very strong thread of humanism within it, where we look to other humans instead of a greater, more supernatural being like God to solve the world's problems, that humans are the ones who can create a better world. Unitarians and Universalists were very active and were, I think, probably the majority of the signers of the first Humanist Manifesto and continued to sign subsequent Humanist Manifestos. We've had 3, I think. But our strand of humanism, or at least its little baby origins, went back even farther to the Enlightenment. In America, in the United States, we often talk about it or think about it in terms of propelling the American Revolution and independence from the crown in England, being able to think for ourselves, to apply reason, to apply logic. Thomas Paine was a big proponent of reason and logic, for example, on common sense. But also our ancestors, our Unitarian and Universalist ministers and forebears thought a lot about reason and logic. William Ellery Channing, who was the Unitarian minister who is credited with articulating Unitarianism to the rest of the world in a sermon on May 5th, 1819, at the ordination of Jared Sparks, argued that we needed to apply reason to the Bible. That we need to read the Bible through a lens of reason, not putting over much weight on history and the way it has been interpreted in previous centuries, but to bring our own ability to reason and to logic to the scriptures ourselves. One of the ways he did this, and this was radical, was by studying the Bible in its original language of Hebrew, in terms of the Old Testament, what we Christians call the Old Testament. And he saw that it made no sense that God would be a punitive parent who was constantly putting his children down and punishing them and considering them to be depraved and all the things that came out of Calvinism. He also didn't see any sense to this idea of God in 3 different persons. He couldn't find much logic in that one. And so that's where that soundbite of Unitarianism came from, and that idea of human free will and being able to affect our own salvation. It came out of reason and logic. So if we're going to think more, which is very much in our theological tradition, is what I'm trying to say. We have a theological tradition of applying reason and logic to scriptures and to world religions and to everything else we think about and study. So thinking about an emphasis on reason, logic, thinking over feeling, if you're into INFP, the Myers-Briggs, or the Enneagram, and different personality types. I want to mention that there are quite a few people who are neurodivergent. They might be autistic or have some other form of neurodivergence, or they might just be less connected to or understanding of their emotions, their own emotions in some way. All people have them. The degree to which we are connected to our emotions, understand what our emotions are, and are able to articulate our emotions varies greatly. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, some of those people who are less able to understand and articulate emotions are some of the most compassionate people around. They are able to apply what Paul Bloom considers to be rational compassion, rational thought, to the act of compassion. However, there is a problem in thinking about compassion in terms of rationality. And that is that lots of times people are not rational. And we have seen this to an increasing degree over the past year. Emotions get in our way. We're humans. Our emotions can get in our way. They get in the way of rational thinking. They get in the way of logic. Right now, we have a lot of people who are being very loud and very vocal and who are not actually aligning with their own self-interest or the self-interest of their neighbors. And so for those of us who rely on reason, on logic, and then we try to apply reason and logic to those actions, we come up short. We can't figure it out because it feels unreasonable and it feels illogical. So I think what all this comes down to is that some of us are thinkers and some of us are feelers. Either way, we can all act with compassion just because it is the right thing to do, whether we feel that compassion or think about that compassion. Coming back to the idea of cultivating compassion, that's the part where it feels like it gets even trickier. How then can we cultivate compassion? How can we nurture it? How can we grow it? How can we cultivate compassion in ourselves? How can we cultivate compassion in other people? Where does that motivation to act with compassion come from? Last year, I read an article after the election and in preparation for families getting together over Thanksgiving, and how so many families were divided on different sides of the political aisle, and how were they going to celebrate and manage this first post-election holiday, about a neuropsychologist who said that empathy is actually like a muscle that can grow and be developed in people, a muscle that can be strengthened. This comes back to that idea about we all think empathy is good all the time. That's a pretty broad brushstroke, but in terms of the cultural understanding of empathy. And he said, his suggestion was to encourage, grandpa was his example, doesn't have to be grandpa, it can be anybody. If they're saying an argument which feels not compassionate, not empathetic, to ask them to remember a time when they did something good for someone else and to share that story around the table. And to encourage the talk around the table to turn into storytelling about doing good for other people, and that can develop our empathetic muscles, that can strengthen our empathetic muscles when they are weak. He has a pretty different view from the Yaley. So I'm wondering, can we do the same thing with compassion? Is that also some kind of muscle that we can strengthen? I don't really have a hypothesis or a theory or an argument to give you today. Just lots of curiosity, lots of questions, lots of thoughts that maybe we can chew on or wonder about or consider together. But I do think that cultivating compassion might have something to do with altruism, with that intrinsic motivation to do good for someone else, because doing good feels good, and then it's a self-perpetuating act. And in some paradoxical ways, possibly selfish, but that's a whole nother sermon. I think cultivating compassion might have something to do with love. With that love I preached about a few weeks ago, that fierce, unrelenting love that we can put into action and that is integrated with all of our shared values. I think that cultivating compassion has something to do with community. That communities like this one right here, this faith community, can teach and encourage and support each other in acts of compassion. In any way it might happen, in any of the ways we might discern or discover that cultivating compassion can happen. What is clear to me, though, what is clear to me, and what is most important, is that this is a compassionate congregation. Empty bowls, green bags, food pantry, speaking up for democracy, all the ways the Social Justice Committee acts and encourages the rest of us to act, to look out for, to alleviate suffering of our neighbors and each other. All the ways in which the Caring Committee cares for people in crisis, all the phone calls the Membership Committee and the Stewardship Committees are about to undertake to check in on people on the congregation, in the congregation, find out how you all are doing. Never mind all of the people who are not even on a committee and still check in with and care for each other here in this community, as well as out in the wider local community. Not because it's some committee's job, but because they care and have concern and are acting with compassion. All of that is what makes you a compassionate congregation. Compassion is present here. Compassion is nurtured here. Compassion is cultivated here. As we act, as we continue to act and grow together in all the ways of love and compassion, may this always be so. Amen, and blessed be. Let us rise together in body or spirit and join in singing hymn number 131, Love Will Guide Us.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep inside you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us. Love will guide us, will lead the way on the road from giving to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
Let us now extinguish the challenge. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the arms of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And I just have to say a big thank you to all the people who put in lots of work and hours, and all the people who came out to enjoy last Friday night. That's what makes us a good community. Go in peace.